Hello. How is everyone doing? I hope you can hear me. Please tell me if you can hear me okay before we start. Please let me know if you can hear me. Please let me know if you can hear me okay, if everything's sounding okay. Let me just check over here. Make sure everything's working. Test. Okay. Okay, looks like it's working. Okay. I sound perfect. Thank you. It's good to see all of you. Oh my, everyone's taking position here. Right. Dark Voices ASMR. Hello. You're the first. Usually the first. Steve McRae manager is second. These two people, they're very special to me. Parallel time is the third. Another third special person. Hey, Robert X. Yes. Robert X, tomorrow, what are you going to be doing tomorrow? Hope you're doing well. So tomorrow here in the UK, it's going to be the Queen's funeral. We get a day off. I'm not sure if you're allowed to stream the funeral. We'll see. I may come on and maybe stream it. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. Druid lover, hey, good to see you. Baran, hey. If we can't hear you, we can't answer. All right. And don't forget to share. Don't forget to subscribe. And yes, Robert says, don't do it later, do it now. Because the conversations that we do have here are conversations that need to be had, especially a topic like what we're going to be talking about tonight, the spread of Christianity in Africa. Hey, Michaela. Hey, how are you, beautiful lady? I hope you're doing well. How is everyone doing? I hope you're all doing okay. So let's see here. Okay. So, right, before I start with any video, I'm going to read something here. It's an article on, I'll put the link. Let's see. Let me share the link. Put the link in the chat if anyone's interested. That's the link right there. Yes, very special indeed, Steve McRae. Very special. Okay, so here, the philosophy of colonialism, civilization, Christianity, and commerce. Three different things. But I would focus mainly on Christianity. That would be the subject of conversation. How Christianity spread through colonialism. Not so much civilization and commerce will definitely be, they're all intertwined. But my focus tonight would be on the Christianity aspect of things. So now the overview. Let me make this slightly bigger so you guys can see. I hate to be reading and you guys can't see what I'm reading. So, as the imperial powers of Europe set their sights on new geographic regions to expand their spheres of influence in the 19th century, Africa emerged as a prime location for colonization due to its wealth of natural resources and purportedly undeveloped economies ripe for exploitation. Ripe for exploitation. In reality, European colonization devastated traditional African societies and economies. However, the leaders spearheading the movement cited the white man's burden, a term that was popularized in Rudyard Kipling's poem to morally justify imperialist expansion. The philosophy underpinning the white man's burden consists of the three C's. So, the philosophy that underpins the white man's burden. These are not my words. These are a poem by Rudyard Kipling in his a poem by Rudyard Kipling. The three C's of colonialism: civilization, Christianity, and commerce. So let's go to Christianity. Sorry, I'm not looking in the chat because I need to try and get a second screen so I can be looking at what's happening, but that will come with time. So, Christianity was one justification that European powers used to colonize and exploit Africa. They colonized and exploited Africa through the dissemination of Christian doctrines. I read that again. Christianity was one justification that European powers used to colonize and exploit Africa through the dissemination of Christian doctrine. European nations such as Great Britain, France, and Netherlands sought to educate and reform African culture. In his book, A History of Africa, scholar J.D. Fudge describes the racially based logic of European intellectuals and missionaries, saying that the mid-late 19th century Europeans were generally convinced that their Christian, scientific, and industrial societies was intrinsically far superior to anything that Africa had produced. I'll go to the next paragraph. To many European nations, Christianity represented Western civilization and the basis for Anglo-Saxon morality. Christianity served as a major force in the partition and in the eventual colonization of Africa. During the 19th century, European nations increasingly vied for global power in an attempt to augment political and regional influence. Nations like Great Britain and France needed a justification for expansion. Essentially, Christianity was a guise by which Western governments justified the exploitation and conquest of African nations. I'll read that last bit again, then we play the video. Essentially, Christianity was a guise by which Western governments justified the exploitation and conquest of African nations. So, guys, right now, this is not the time to cast blame on anyone. I'm not here to talk about the white man did this. Oh, and the black person did that. I can't change history. I cannot change history. We can go over and have a look at history and hopefully try and work out how we got to where we are. My job is not to sit here and say, oh, the white man, blame the white man for everything. Blame, this person for. I have no time for that. The Africans have taken on a religion that was used to exploit them. And for me, that interests me because I I was one of these people who had no choice. I had to take on Christianity. I just was born into the thing. So here I am today. I'm able to question because I've walked out. But if you don't know the history, how would you know the origins? How would you know where this all started from? How would you know the impact? How would you know, uh, um, you know, what the forefathers subscribed to before? Someone said to me, "Oh, is it not better for you to go back to the the religion of your forefathers instead of atheism?" And I said to the person, I asked the person, so what was the religion of my forefathers? What was the religion of my forefathers? And they started off by saying, "Oh, Ifa and the Shango." I said, "Hang on. My own people didn't come from that region. My father's people, they didn't come from that region. They came from a completely different region. So the Ifa and all these things would have, they had no knowledge of it. So can you please tell me?" And then my next question to the person was, "Are you telling me that among my forefathers, there would have been not one single person who didn't believe? Come on, give my forefathers a bit more credit." I want to think that there would have been some people that would have said, "No, this is not for me. I don't believe." So no, telling me to go back to my the religion of my forefathers is like telling me go back in history and look for a needle in a haystack. Hey, everyone, intransigent atheists, African humanists, in the more religious states of the USA, racist killings done by the white men against black men are far more higher than they are in the states that are less religious. Why? Why were they? Jenna, hello, Jenna. Good to see you. It was just pure greed. I think I can agree. It was greed. And, don't forget, guys, we're not here to, um, look, if I see a white man now, and then I start telling the white man, "Oh, your forefathers did this to me." I'm like, hang on, he wasn't even there. It's a subject that is very, very tricky subject. But I'm not here to lay blame on anyone because it's a very that subject is very nuanced. A lot of things involved, a lot of facets to colonization. So, but I care more about the Christianity bit of it. Hey, Lilith. Lilith. Oh, hello, Lilith Superstar. Yes, good to see you. I'm at the Dallas Caribbean Carnival. Oh gosh. You should send us some pictures, please. Till is here too. Dr. Cyrus, hello. There were black non-believers in America during slavery. This is a proven fact. Exactly. You take people from their homes and force this religion on it. You're telling me that every single person would have believed? I beg to differ. Give the people of old a bit more credit. We just lump every single one of them and think that, oh, they didn't believe. Oh no, so they all believed in want to go back to the religion of your forefathers. What? Electric cane, hello. I hate to divert away from the conversation. But I love how nearly every time I see you've got a new look. I love it. This is my own natural look. I've got alopecia areata. Yes, I suffer with alopecia. So I've got to always, switch things up so that my but this is me. This is the afro. The afro's been turned into locks. Well, it's good to see you, Jenna. Udrak, hey, 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 hey. Don't blame the white man, so blame the white women. Let's blame the white. Just blame everyone. Afro-humanists. Africa was also originally more tolerant of homosexuals. Yes, that's a subject that we will visit that subject one day, because homosexuality was a thing in Africa. How we have criminalized homosexuality, and Africans now think it's a Western concept. The Westerners, the white man, but it's as natural as anything. It's one of the most natural uh, experiences anyone can have, and I, I don't know why people care so much what people do in their bedrooms. But let's get on, because this is fine. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Again, my name is Odo Horn. I'm the president of the North Georgia Conference United Methodist Men. I'm here with Dr. Simon Adara-Bigby, who's a professor of religion and associate director of the African Studies Institute at the University of Georgia. Let me ask you a question, Dr. Adara-Bigby. Last week in our program for the United Methodist Men, we had a conversation with two professors, one from Yale University, the other from Concordia Seminary in St. Louis, about the early African Christian church in Alexandria and Carthage and Aksum, and we got into Coptic and Ethiopian Orthodox Christianity. And that's mainly affected North Africa. What I want to do is have a conversation with you about Christianity and sub-Saharan Africa. And I wanted to have a conversation about missionaries and colonialism and Portuguese traders, and give me dates and times and how Christianity came to Africa and how it was received and how it was interpreted by various peoples across sub-Saharan Africa. So I'm going to let you talk.
Okay, yeah, like you have said, prior to the beginning of 7th century, there was a presence of Christianity in North Africa. But like you said, that has been taken care of by previous speakers. So I will just keep that and then go to sub-Saharan Africa. Now, there are two attempts that were made to Christianize Africa through the sub-Saharan Africa. The first attempt was between 16th and 17th centuries. And this was done by the Portuguese traders. Primarily, the Portuguese traders were involved in transatlantic slave trade. Of course, when you come to the shores of West Africa and East Africa to buy slaves, they also came to propagate their religion. Which is
hold on. You said they came to buy slaves.
Yeah, to buy slaves. That's what they were trading in. They were slave traders, pure and simple. Yeah. That's
so the narrative amongst African Americans that they came to kidnap slaves.
Oh, well, you must put that in context. Maybe the word kidnapping, I don't know. Usually, what they do is to buy the slaves from their contacts in the continent. And how did they get the slaves? The slaves were actually products of intertribal wars.
So people fighting,
were captured, people were, and then sometimes people go on raids to capture slaves. And most of the time, the Portuguese traders were not involved in them by themselves in kidnapping slaves, but they buy the slaves from the people. Who are African agents. Let me put it that way: African agents who have the slave ready for them, and that is why you will notice that the Portuguese slave traders actually stayed at the coast of Africa and East Africa. And so those who go to get the slave, bring the slaves to them in the coast, they buy the slaves. That is why in many of the coastal area, they have a lot of space where they keep the slaves, ready for the Portuguese to come to buy, return them in those locations, and then put them on the ships to the various parts of America and Europe.
Okay. So when they're buying slaves, people are taking slaves from, tribal wars going on, ethnic wars going on. They take on the prisoners of the wars. Those are now sold into slavery. Very barbaric. So it's hard for me to sit here and really say, oh, I blame this one, and I blame that one, and I blame. Some will say, oh, the black men sold their own people into slavery. Okay, that's true. But what were they offered? These people were offered plates, china plates, china plates for 10 slaves, a bottle of gin for 40 slaves, umbrellas, umbrella for, I don't know how many slaves you get for the big umbrellas. Just things like that. Things that today are worth nothing. So these people saw these things and thought, oh, we've never seen something like this before. This must mean a lot. So we will sell our people. They were even buying guns. Guns were those for guns, you had to give up a lot of lives. So what we're talking about here are not we're not talking about they're buying cattle. No, they're buying humans.
So that was actually what it is. And so these were traders, and their main goods of trading was, of course, human, which are the slaves. Of course, there were other trading that goes along, like bringing stuff from the Americas, which they, of course, give sometimes as gifts to the ships from whom they buy the slaves. Also trade in some other elements of African goods, but the majority, or what can I call the prime trading goods, were the slaves. There was not about that whatsoever. So when they came, like I said, they were traders, but they also came with their religion, and of course, also wanted to propagate their religion. But that experience was not successful. We're not successful for three main reasons. Principal reason was, of course, the fact that there was an illogical reconciliation between the trading in slaves and the message of Christianity. The message of Christianity was love your neighbor as yourself. That was the message. The message of slavery was to send people into perpetual bondage who would never return. So how could you come, pre-message of love, put me in shame, put me in a ship, and send me forever into bondage? That did not resonate well with the people. And that message was quite illogical. So that
okay. So if the message of Christianity is that Jesus loves you so much, he gave up his life for you. Love, oh, Jesus loves you. But somehow the same religion was used to was used to help slavery along. So how did this happen? How was Christianity used to help slavery, to make slavery happen? If you loved these people, why would you put them in chains and sell them, take them away forever? These people were being taken away, never to return. So Christianity has had a very ugly past. Never mind all what they're saying today. Oh, Christianity, the religion of love, and it has had a horrendous past. You have to look in the book, and you will find things in that book that will trouble you. Things that a moral God, one who is how you take you get your morality from that book. I don't understand it. A God that will sacrifice his own son to himself. Who is himself? Sacrifice himself to himself to. I don't understand all that. How can I get my morality from a God who will not spare his own child, will kill his own child, wants and needs the blood sacrifice of his own child? Oh, no, thank you. But Africa has been infested with this religion. There are churches everywhere you look. It's mind blowing how a small little, you know, okay, it wasn't small, it was big. How something that started in that manner, how it just slowly, slowly found its way through the African people. Slowly, slowly. And now the African people don't recognize their own local deities, their own local belief systems. Their own local belief systems have now been vilified. The people who worship Ifa, oh, they're demon worshippers. But the Jesus that looks nothing like them. Jesus even said he came for the lost sheep of his father's house. He didn't come for the Africans. Anyway, never mind. Let's
people not to actually embrace Christianity. There were other factors. There was the factor of the fact that the disease known as malaria was so deadly that many of them that came actually could not survive staying too long in Africa. At a point in time, it was referred to that the coast of West Africa was actually the graveyard of Europeans who came into West Africa because of the devastating effect of malaria. That also was very important. Secondly, was the fact that
good to see
the
you
traders
here.
were actually, the Portuguese traders were actually limited to the west, to the coastal areas, and so they could not penetrate into the interior to spread to propagate their religion. Number four was the fact that, like I said, it was not their preoccupation. They weren't there to propagate Christianity. They were there to
buy slaves.
They were there to trade in slaves. So they didn't, as it were, they weren't as committed. They were not committed to the propagation of Christianity. Christianity was just a byproduct of their being there. So that was why, essentially, the experience or the first attempt to Christianize Africa from West Africa and East African coast actually failed.
Oh.
However, by the 18th century and the 19th century, the dynamics have begun to change.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. So what you're saying is that the first attempt was the 16th and 17th century.
Yes.
And the Portuguese traders, they were only limited to the coast.
To the coast.
They didn't colonize Africa in the 16th and 17th century.
No. Of course, you must understand that you must separate the Portuguese.
So the gentleman is talking about the Portuguese. They had come originally to come and buy slaves and also had their Christianity with them. But it didn't quite work, right? It didn't quite take because they only stopped at the coast. The people would go and get the slaves and bring the slaves to them because of malaria. If anyone has suffered with malaria, you would know how deadly that disease is. Never mind that we have medicines now for malaria. I traveled to Africa in 2017, came back, took all my malaria drugs. I was fine. A year later, 1 year later, I hadn't been nowhere. I was here in the UK. A year later, while I was going through a really hard time with my breakdown of my marriage and all of that, some really bad circumstances at the time. And I took ill. It's really bad. And no one could understand what was wrong. Everyone was just Not sure, but I was really bad. I I saw the end of life like this. And they did the blood test and they said I've got malaria. Hang on. How have I got malaria? I haven't been for 1 year. They said malaria can just stay in your immune system for a long time. It can just sit there until you've got a weakened immune system, and then it will raise its ugly head. Whoa. So I think I can understand why these people didn't want to die from malaria. Can you imagine traveling all those many miles on the sheep, not eating a good diet, landing on a coast as hot as anything, hot compared to your cold countries where malaria can survive. Mosquitoes can't survive in the cold. Forget that. They just they just die. They can't survive. And so, malaria.
Traders from the colonial masters. And you know that colonial masters' experience was actually
Ghanania,
after the Berlin Conference, which was, of course, in the 18th century. So it was in the 15th, 16th, and early 17th century where we had the Atlantic slave trade. Since there was not yet as such a colonial presence in West Africa or in Africa sub-Sahara.
So you're saying that the transatlantic slave trade did not lead to colonialization. Colonialization of Africa was started after the Berlin Conference.
Yeah, it started after the Berlin Conference when they began to scrabble for Africa. But of course, there's no way you can say that did not generate interest. It generated interest in Africa because it did showcase what Africa has as in terms of instead of resources that were needed in Europe and in the Americas. So that's
okay. Let me address this comment here by Electric King. Says Christianity requires you to accept the Christ story before you have even had a chance to read the book that contains the story. They tell you in the church, come now to the altar and accept now. Electric King, you're quite right. Christianity tells you, first things first, you have to accept that you are a condemned person. 2 people ate a fruit, and that automatically makes you a sinner. No fault of your own. Nothing you have done. Now, you in the 20th century have somehow inherited a sin for something you didn't do. You didn't even, all they did was eat a fruit. How that would result into everyone in the entire world being punished for eating a fruit that the God himself planted. So now you are told now in this century that you've got to accept that bullshit story. Accept your sin nature. Because why? A savior came for you. He came to come and save you from that sin nature. So you've got to start off by accepting this story and then receiving the God that put you in that place has now created a loophole for you by bringing his son. The Jesus story does not work. The Jesus story is one of the most sickening things I've ever heard. That a God will sacrifice himself to himself because he needs the blood of his own child. Who taught this? Who was the person that came up with this bogus story? Who did this? Never mind.
Of course, instigated interest, but at that point in time, colonialism had not actually begun. It has not actually begun at that point in time.
Okay. So you're talking, thank you for that clarification. You were talking about the 18th and 19th century and the second attempt
the second attempt at that point in time became successful.
Okay.
African from sub-Sahara were able to be Christianized. And a lot of factors, again, are responsible for this. By this time, the slave trade had ended.
Slave trade ended. Okay.
Ended. And the effort of ending.
So, Kiko, let me make sure to pronounce your name correctly. Kiko Lanzig. He blamed the woman. I find that really funny because according to the story, God told Adam, you must not eat from the... He didn't say anything to Eve. Those words were never mentioned to Eve. Eve didn't come until after God has told this to Adam. So now she comes along. And the serpent tells her this. And she eats. The story says that Adam was there with her. Adam was there with her. But somehow she gets the blame. But the man he was there. Not only was he there, he couldn't stop it. He couldn't do nothing. Okay, you know what? No. Let me I need to take it easy on Adam and Eve, because really and truly, Adam and Eve had no these two, they were set up for failure from the get-go. There was just no remedy. There was nothing. Those two were doomed from the start. So let me turn the blame back to who deserves the blame, and that is the God who planted the tree. You would think that when the serpent was making its way to the woman, a loving father, a loving God would have come out of the bushes or wherever he was hiding, would have come and stop these two from eating. Never mind those Christians that come and tell you about free will. Never mind them. Because their book is full of stories where God can, he just will cancel your free will and impose his will on you. Just go and have a read. Go and read about Jonah. Go and read Job. Go and read Mary and Joseph. Never mind their will. Never mind free will. God just imposes his own will on them. Never mind. Okay, I'm going off on a tangent. Whew.
The slave trade was actually championed by the Christian evangelists and missionaries.
Okay.
That was a very big plus in bringing Christianity and changing the tune of the slave trader also being the preacher of Christianity. So one reason that was good. Second reason was
when the person who is taking you as a slave is also the one putting you in chains. The one who is giving you the gospel on one hand, telling you about the love of Christ. The same one is the one putting you in chains.
But at that point in time, chloroquine has now been discovered as the drug that can cure malaria.
So they have discovered
dying
chloroquine.
Also became limited. Number three was the fact that the missionaries who now brought Christianity were committed to preaching Christianity. Their mission was not trading. Their mission was to Christianize Africa. So that was a change of dynamics. Number four was that when they were
coming, did they Christianize Africa?
To the coast of West Africa and East Africa, goodies of education, goodies of establishing health facilities, and so on.
These people Christianized Africa to the point that Me, I was born into the religion. I'm named after one of the uh, only two women in the Bible. When I told my mother, I said, I do not like my name. Why would you name me this name for goodness sake? My mother said, oh, but we are Christians. And when you were born. I was born on Valentine's Day, for goodness sake. But my mom said, because we are Christians, we have to name you according to the Christian. So you were born around Easter. I told my mom, if you had named me Vanessa, Valerie, just to match with my being born on Valentine's Day, wouldn't it be nice? Name me freaking Esther. But hey, my mom named me, so the name's not going anywhere because in honor of my mom, the name's staying. So yeah, but boy, did these people Christianize Africa. Now Africa does not. Most Africans do not recognize. Now, please don't get me wrong. The whole of Africa is not Christianized. There are parts that are Islamized. The Islamization of Africa. I think we would do that on a different day. These two religions are vying for they're vying for the top place. I think it was what's his name? Christopher Hitchens that said that religion poisons everything.
So forth. And so that began to attract people into Christianity. Another thing that was also important is that they also made use of freed slaves.
Christianity was pro-slavery.
Who earlier on had been converted to Christianity either in America or in Europe.
Yeah, you change your name.
Then were now either in Sierra Leone or Liberia. And those ones were now became the champion of Christianization. And so it resonated with people to find people of their own, of the same color, talking about Christianity and telling them their own experiences of being converted to Christianity. And so Christianity became, as it were, successful at that point in time.
Hold on. You're saying that there were freed slaves from America, from Europe.
And Europe, yeah.
And some coming from Liberia and Sierra Leone who are now missionaries in Africa.
Yes, into West Africa. And those ones were able to now propagate Christianity.
Yes.
Particularly, for example, in Nigeria,
Ajayi Crowther.
Christianity to Nigeria, particularly in the Yoruba area at that time, were actually freed slaves.
Ajayi Crowther.
So these ones were able to identify with Christianity, and people were able to identify with them, and of course, they will be able to preach Christianity to them as a religion
and
of
to
love
translate
and, acceptance and all that.
To translate.
But you will know that in doing that, many religion denominations did that. For example, led particularly by the Anglican Church, actually were in the forefront. But we did have also the Catholic. We had the Methodists, we had the Baptists, and all those people came in one after the other. The Presbyterian sending missionaries into various parts of West Africa. And because now they were committed to propagating Christianity, they were able to access the interior and also preach Christianity. And that's why we said the second coming of Christianity became successful.
So now
malaria stopped the first attempt to Christianize Africa, malaria. But they developed chloroquine. Now the medicines. Now we can move further in. We don't have to stay on the coast. And so now all the other religions and the other denominations too, everyone now thought, we need to, off to Africa we go. Let us go and take over. Let us go and when I sit down and think about it, these people who were on their way with these missionary missions, believing that I've got the right religion, I've got the right message. I've got the right gospel. But you see those ones, those people there, the primitive people there, the barbarians there, they need me to come and rescue them. They need my message, my book, my Bible. Where's my Bible now? Let me find my Bible 1 second. They need my book. Without this book, they are finished. Yes, they have their religion. Yes, they have their cultures. But we don't care about that. We will eradicate everything they know and give them this book. After all, we have the right religion. After all, our God is the one and only God. Yes, let's go. Can you imagine the mindset? Until today, there's still missionaries who think like this, who go on to parts of Africa and parts of, other parts of the world too, believing that they have the right religion, that they are the moral, they have that moral high ground, and that everyone who does not believe in what they believe is going to be burned in this eternal lake of fire. Who gave these people this ideology? Who Christianity is evil. Christianity is an evil religion. I'm sorry.
Now, when Christianity came and it was received in the second attempt, which is the 18th and 19th centuries, how did it look like? How did the various people groups in sub-Saharan Africa, how did they receive it? One of them, what we learned last week when we were talking to the brothers who were talking about Christianity in Ethiopia and Egypt, is that Christianity is a translated message. So how did the...
So, sorry, I keep cutting. I need to... It's just some of the things you guys are saying in the chat. So interesting to me. So, I need to get this right. Transcendent atheist says that's why Christianity is called the white man's religion. I read something at the start. Let me... Okay, let me stop this. I read something at the start. Let me share. Which I shared in the... So this is the philosophy of colonialism, civilization, Christianity, and commerce. The three things that came with colonialism. So here it says that the philosophy underpinning the white man's burden... Hang on, let me read from here. However, the leaders that were spearheading the movement cited the white man's burden, a term that was popularized in Rudyard Kipling's poem to morally justify imperialist expansion. The philosophy underpinning the white man's burden consisted of the three C's. The white man's burden had the three C's. Colonialism. Sorry, not colonialism. What am I talking about? Civilization, Christianity, and commerce. And guess where Christianity is sitting? Right in the middle. Right in the middle, sitting comfortably. Right there, just taking space in the middle. Because without Christianity, how can you propagate the rest?
The people groups in sub-Saharan Africa, how did they translate Christianity? How was it received?
Yeah, well, you must understand that Christianity, when it came the second time, like I said, brought a lot of goodies like education and attraction.
Good night.
But even then, I've said earlier on that the
Thank you
religion that
very
was
much for
practiced
being
prior to
here.
that time was the African indigenous religion, the traditional religion.
Right. Okay.
So we began to have, at the very beginning, at the incept of conversion into Christianity, what happened was that people began to practice what we call a syncretic practice of Christianity. What do I mean by syncretic? What I mean by that is that it's like, for example, you go to the church on Sunday as a Christian, but during the week, you continue to practice your African traditional religion. That was the first level of interaction, because people have to find a way to actually figure out that this new religion, is it going to be something that is going to be conducive and so on and so forth. So it started as a kind of acceptance of attitude. Don't forget that Christianity came with a lot of abstract, I'm talking about mission Christianity now, came with a lot of abstractness that were not really in conformity with the holistic nature of religion known to the Africans prior to Christianity. And of course, the mission Christianity came with a mentality of changing the identity of the converted to such an extent that you could also say you have to become European in identity to be able to practice Christianity.
Jesus.
What do I mean by that? I meant that everything that was supposed to be African were regarded as inimical, were regarded as devilish or evil. For example, you could not wear the native dress to church. Do not bring the native drum to church. Not even sing, as it were, in your native language in the church. And so you began to see that was why at the beginning there was syncretism. Yet we will come to your church on Sunday. We will listen to whatever you want to say.
So guys, just think about this. Think about somebody who's 50 years old, 60 years old, has lived life, practiced the traditional African way of worship. And then someone comes along and says to them, everything you've known or everything you thought you knew was wrong. Now I've got the better option for you. It's here. Now, this person is an illiterate. They've got no clue what's written in here. They need someone to interpret. Right? So they're depending on these people to tell them what's in here. Do you think they would take their time and give them the context? Yeah, that's what Christians want to tell you. Oh, there is context to these things. Oh, the exegesis and the IC. You think the people who gave them, who converted these people, you think they gave them any context? You think they made them change their identity? It's like erasing people's belief system. Just erase it. No. It's cruelty, in my opinion. It's cruelty to do that to people. It's pure evil. I don't like Christianity. Sorry. I just don't. Don't like the Christ. Don't like the Christianity. Don't like the book. I don't like it. It's inherently a religion that condemns humanity. And for that, I reject that. A religion that tells me and my other people, my fellow humans, that we are a condemned being. We're condemned beings because two people ate a fruit. No.
And then during the week, we will return to our native ways of life, our traditional ways of life, and still involved in that. So that was the first level of contact. But as time went on, the doctrines, Christian doctrines, began to be accepted as they are. But that again led to a different way of finding a way to integrate African identity into Christianity. And I think that's what will lead us to our second point about the establishment of African independent churches.
Okay. Well, keep going. Let's talk about African independent churches.
So after African traditional Christianity has taken hold substantially, and the various missions led by this, what we call the CMS. The CMS is, of course, the Anglican Church. Now, and people began to be involved more and more in the doctrines of Christianity. They began to discover that it did not really address the holistic nature of the religion which they have been converted from into Christianity. And for the African, religion is everything.
Yes.
And that is why it's usually said that Africans are in all things religious. Africans are in all things religious. What that means to is that.
And this is why I try to highlight the problem with Christianity in Africa. Most of the videos I show here show you how the African people take religion. It's their look. When I was growing up, you were not taught about other worldviews. You may have been given a very basic knowledge of other, very, very basic. But we have to bring it back to anything outside of that religion is demonized. You are not to marry an outsider. You are not to speak to them. You are not to fellowship with them. You are not to even have them as friends. They will even tell you, oh, the Americans are worldly people. Oh, the English people, they're worldly people. When I first relocated to the UK, I was told that the UK people, they don't worship God in their churches. They worship the devil. So that I need to find myself an African church, because the way we Africans, it's as if the African people, they have the direct worship to God. When they sing all those songs, hey, my God is good, oh, hey. It's as if you have called down you have called down the presence of God. When we're in church, when you see people say, now everyone close your eyes. We are going to usher in, that's the word, usher in the presence of God. God is about to come here and do blah, blah, blah. And then, say, God is here. The Spirit of God is here. He is in the house. He's here. And you start hearing people screaming, like things are happening. And you will be there thinking, oh, God is here. There was no God. There was no nothing. We were lied to. They lied to us. They are still lying till this day. The lies never stop. A God that you have never proven to exist, how can he come to your church when you're singing praise and worship? Where did he come from? People.
You reduce everything to religion. Your politics is religion. Your social life is religion. Your trade is religion. Your marriage is religion. Your moral life is religion. So everything, religion is at the center. However, when Christianity came, it was saying that you can kind of put everything into individual boxes, and that's what I call what we call Christianity for the Africans became a Sunday pill. Sunday pill. In other words, you go to church on Sunday, and then you take the pill, as it were, and then you're gone. And then you come back again on Sunday, and then you have the same thing. And Africans just find that will not cater for their spiritual life.
No.
And so there was then the need to now say, how do we, as Africans, keep our identity, but at the same time be followers of Christ? That's one level. The other level was the issue of the racial context. of the fact that the missionaries considered them, of course, to be of a higher grade, if you want to call it human beings, than the converted Africans. And that to show up in the organizational structure of these mission churches, in the sense that, well, Africans who become reverend, pastors, priests, and so on and so forth, could not attain leadership of those churches in Africa or in Nigeria. They could not, because they would bring people, white people from Europe and Africa and America, who will now be put as leaders or bishops or higher hierarchy than those people. So that began to instigate the Africans to now say, okay, we really need to see if this religion, the way it is introduced to us, is actually serving the purpose, first, of spirituality, secondly, of being able to rule ourselves, if you want to put it that way. And we then begin to see what we call parting of ways in terms of the mission churches. And like I said, it led to the establishment of African independence churches.
Right.
There were two of such African independent churches. There were the early ones, the early African independent churches, who were actually mostly of prayer bands. And then, and those ones came about around the 1920s and 1930s. And like I said, for those early African independent churches, or some people call them African indigenous churches, Christian churches, was the fact that they wanted to introduce, that just Africans have always done, that healing is a combination of physiological and spiritual features. In other words, when you are in the typical African traditional setting, diseases are not just physiological. Illnesses are not just physiological. They are not caused by only physical means. There is the spiritual angle to it.
Gosh.
So you're saying diseases and healings are not just physiological?
They're not. There must be the spiritual component.
Of course.
So if somebody is sick, you just don't say he's sick because of physical situation. There is the attainment that he must have been sick because of some spiritual laxity or whatever, or the anger of the divinities or the anger of the ancestors, you know? And so when...
So it's easy to look at the African people and think, oh gosh, they were so dumb. Why would they think that? Why would they think that diseases are not physiological but spiritual? Hang on. Hey, this isn't far-fetched. Just open the Bible. See, most of the things that these people practice, guess where you find the things? They're in here. When Job was afflicted, did his friends not come to him and say, look, you must have done something. You must have said something against God. You must have committed a sin, a hidden sin. When Jesus was healing people, Jesus would say things like, oh, when he's healing, he say something along the lines of, your faith has made you whole, something like that, right? Take away your sins, but now your sins, by taking away your sins, then he will heal you. So there's that spiritual element before he can heal you of your physiological ailment. The case of that man who was afflicted with the demons, the legions. When you look back now, think about it. Just think about it. This man is out there in the cave, wondering about. The guy had a mental health disorder. There was something wrong mentally, hence why he was roaming where he was. But here comes Jesus. Did not identify this problem that he has. Jesus is supposed to be all-knowing. But Jesus comes, it's demons. It's legion demons. And Jesus starts talking with legion demons, you know? And Jesus now sends these demons into pigs, kills all the all the pigs just died. Would it not have been better to heal the man? Not heal him, maybe take him to anyway, they didn't have all these mental health facilities then. But God in the form of Jesus was walking the earth and could not identify a mental health disorder. No, sorry. It's human science. Over the years, science and people just learning and discovering things have now figured out, oh, no. What they thought was a medical, a spiritual affliction. No, it's nothing spiritual. It's all, but everything they're doing is all in here.
You want to find healing for that person, you must
Oh,
combine.
everyone's going to
First
bed.
and
Okay.
foremost,
Good night,
find
everyone.
out the cause. What
Robert
is the cause?
X, good night.
Is it because of the anger of the divinities or ancestors? When you find out that it is only, and you have taken care of that you can now go to prescribe medicine for that person to be cured. If you don't take care of the spiritual aspect, no matter what medicine you prescribe, they will not work because you have not gotten to the source of the problem. So that was the attitude carried by Africans into Christianity. And so when the plague began, the bubonic plague, when it
bubonic plague.
Yes. Now, the point was that the belief of the missionaries was that this could be cured purely by medical means. But the Africans who were...
Can you tell us what religion was she and what religion for changing her religion? So Sudan, that means she would have changed from maybe Islam. It's only Islam that would do something like that. Only Islam would do something like that. Jeez. Only Islam sentenced to hanging for changing religion. Jesus. Gosh. That's terrible. I need to figure this thing out. I need to check it out and see what it's all about.
Who are followers felt that no, you've got to use the spiritual means, and that created fiction. And what happened was those people believed that you can actually pray into water and use it to cure the bubonic plague. And so, that began to show that, look, this religion that we have taken is not actually addressing our holistic worldview about issues. So that was the beginning when you now begin to see some people creating their own, what they call prayer bounds, to be able to pray over water and use it as a form of medication, as it were. So which means they believe that the potency in prayer that you will use, pray into the water, and somebody who is sick of the plague.
So this thing he's talking about, here in the UK, I used to attend an African church. We would have 3 days. No, they used to call it the 72-hour prayers. The pastor would expect you to come to church and stay in the church for 72 hours. You mustn't brush your teeth, no shower, praying. The prayers intermittently, every 2-3 hours, just like that. He will even expect you to bring your children to church. I never stayed for the 72 hours straight. I just go like in the evening. He would tell everyone to bring their bottles of water and put it at the altar. During the prayers, then at some point they would pray towards the water. And then after the 72 hours, he would tell us how to use the water. You're to put drops of it in your water to drink, some of it into your bath water. If you have an interview, just put some on a handkerchief and put it on your what was it now? I don't remember. If you had someone had the driving test, yeah, you were to put some of the water on a handkerchief, put it on your on the seat of your car. Yeah, it's still being practiced. See today, it's still being practiced in churches.
Drink, and he'll be cured. That brought some friction. But those were the beginning in the 1920s, 1930s.
That's a good question.
See these groups called
Hey,
the
Iron Chariot. Yeah, hello.
Independent
Good
African
to see
churches.
you.
However, the ones that have really become very popular are the one we call the Pentecostal.
She became a Christian, I bet, from Islam.
Churches. And those ones actually began in 1960s, in the 1960s. When began, and you will see that that also actually fits into the beginning of independence of Africans from the colonial masters, because African nations began to get their independence in the 1960s. In fact, Ghana got its independence in 1957, and then Nigeria in 1960, and thereafter, African nations began to free themselves from the colonial masters, and that was the time we began to have the Pentecostal church. Now, the Pentecostal churches are actually in two forms. We have the classical Pentecostal churches, and we have the neo-Pentecostal African churches.
God. Now, you said neo-Pentecostal?
Yes, neo-Pentecostal independent African churches. The classical Pentecostal churches were actually those who believe in the kind of apocalyptic teachings. And these were a kind of Old Testament idea. And then, of course, the idea was that they were more concerned with salvation. Salvation was the classical Pentecostal churches were more concerned with salvation. And that is why we said classical Pentecostalism is about looking heavenwards. Looking heavenwards, that is, what is going to happen to me after I die? What's going to happen?
Looking heavenwards. Unfortunately, there's no heaven up there. When we were taught this Christianity thing, we were told that heaven is up, hell is down there, right? If you were eating food, your food dropped to the floor. No, don't touch it. Satan has eaten it already. Don't touch it. So you're not to touch it because Satan's got it already. But God is up there. And when Jesus is going to come, he's going to come from up there because his throne is there. Well, it turns out that above the clouds, there's no heaven there. Planet Earth is like I've got a pair here, sorry. Planet Earth is like this in the grand scheme of what is going on above the clouds. There's no heaven there. So this idea that people are looking heavenwards, I think they're looking to Mars. They're looking Marswards or to your Uranus words. There's no heaven. It's not there. Maybe at this heaven place, I don't know. But up there, there's no heaven. It doesn't exist.
To me, after I die, I must be saved. I must have salvation. That was the concern of the classical Pentecostalists. However, the neo-Pentecostal churches are the one who attempted to blend the two together. Talk about salvation, at the same time, talk about the existentialist problems of life. In other words, you must take care of humans while alive, while still on earth, and from just concentrating on salvation. And that is why sometimes they are called gospel churches. Some people also refer to them as prosperity churches, because they also teach materialism. They also teach how you can take care of the human who are still existing. So what will happen with the neo-Pentecostalist churches is that they will have prayer for every aspect of life. They will have days in which you can come to church and pray. For example, if I were an architect, I will have a day that will be devoted to my profession as an architect, that I can come to church and pray about it. If I were
wait. You're saying if you're an architect,
yes,
you can go to church and pray.
Yeah.
Purely for my profession.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can do well in my profession so that I can make headway, I can be successful.
Yeah.
Also, if medical, like a physician, a day can be created where they will have a prayer session
for
my
doctors.
profession.
Yes.
If I were trader, the same thing. For me to be successful about my trade, they will organize prayer, and therefore you begin to see every day of the week there is one prayer
Church
for
is
one
open.
segment of
That's
the society
right.
or the other. And that
in Africa, you will find that church is open every single day of the week. No longer on Sundays. Every single day. Some churches on a Sunday have 5 services. 5. Start the morning service by 7. That will finish. Those people will leave. Another set will come in. Start by 9. They will finish. Another set will come in. The next one might start at 1 o'clock. They'll finish. Then they'll have the one that starts at 3. And then the last one maybe at 7 p.m. on a Sunday. The people who are workers in this church usually are expected to be in church all day long, because it is their service to God, and they're usually unpaid. 5 services, some churches, on a Sunday. Then the rest of the week, they're open every single day. They have prayers for people who are looking for the fruit of the womb. Prayer for people looking for job. Prayer for sick. If you're sick, bring your sick people. Prayer for just everything. People who want to get married and single, just all sorts. Christianity has completely the overhaul of the African mind into believing that every single problem, everything you face has a spiritual foundation. Everything if you have a headache, just a headache, you will see the Christian will say, oh, I'm trying to remember all their lingos now. They'll say, oh, get thee behind me, Satan. Get this headache, I reject it in Jesus' name. Satan, you cannot get me. It's a headache. Take paracetamol, you'll be all right. No. Some of them, their pastors have told them, my brother's pastor, he once said that only people who don't have faith get sick. But that if you're a Christian, you shouldn't be sick. You can't be sick. Just it's crazy, eh?
demonstrate the holistic nature of religion for the African, which you can now find in the Pentecostal. Don't forget Pentecostalism. Some people believe originated actually from the United States of America. But when it now came, because it's all about elevating the place of the Holy Spirit. That is Pentecostalism, elevating the position of
it's already happening. Scapegoat
having
Iscariot.
said that, I think the most important thing to take away is that different reasons were responsible for the beginning of the separation of African independent churches from the mission churches. In that Africans began to see that your identity as an African could not totally be protected under the mission churches. And therefore, you've got to find a means of being an African and at the same time a follower and a devoted follower of Christ. And I think that was what was responsible for that. But of course, most significant also, which we should not lose sight of, as the organization began to grow, leadership structure became a problem in the sense that Africans discovered they could not aspire to become leaders of the churches in which they are predominant, because of the fact that it was felt that they didn't have the mental or the intellectual capacity to be able to lead those organizations, and they have to bring people from either Europe or America to lead. I mean, it will be a situation where you bring a newly ordained pastor or priest of 25 years to come and lead somebody who has been a priest, who's an African of like 25 years. And you elevate this newly ordained personality over and above a seasoned clergyman who has devoted many years to the service. So that also raised a lot of a problem, and then began to see a situation where they want to establish their own independent churches and lead those churches.
So let me ask you a question. Basically, what I'm hearing from you is that Africans received Christianity through missionaries in sub-Saharan Africa, not in North Africa.
Not in North Africa.
But they indigenized Christianity,
of course,
which led to the creation of the African independent churches.
Exactly.
How much did the how much influence did the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, for example, play in African indigenous churches?
There were a lot of them who have learned about the Ethiopian churches. But what you must understand is that by the 17th century, the Orthodox churches in Ethiopia was almost at its end because of the influence of Islam. And so it didn't have much to say across into West and East Africa. But at the same time, there was a situation that people did hear about the Ethiopian Orthodox churches. But it did not, as it were, effect, because when the missionaries came to West Africa and East Africa, as it were, they brought what I call Europeanized mission Christianity, as it were. And that was what they introduced. And like I said, it was in a kind of an arbitrary kind of church, in some that it did not really relate to the Africans who had been practicing a religion that was holistic and that. So that was why I said at the beginning, the Africans wanted to find a way of playing a kind of syncretism. Do some part of Christianity on Sunday, go back to their native practices during the week. But at a point in time, they find that that wouldn't work for a long time. The idea was that, okay, if we stay within Christianity itself, how can we remodify Christianity in such a way that we can still have our identity? In other words, that's why I say, how can I be a Christian and not lose my African identity? How can I be a follower of Christ and still retain my values as an African? That's what the whole purpose of it. So the kind of double playing of coming to church on Sunday and doing the Christian thing, and then going back during the week to participate in traditional rites and all that, could not work for a long time. So the best thing was to say, okay, let's remain in Christianity and let's now see how we can make Christianity work for the African. And that's exactly what happened. And that is why today, what we have on the African continent in terms of Christianity is quite different from what was brought to Africa as mission Christianity. So Lord has gone on in reformation, in rebranding Christianity. So that is why today we talk about African Christianity. Even Orthodox churches like the Catholic, the Anglican, the Methodist, they have had to find a way to reorientate their doctrines and their ways of worship to conform to the Pentecostal churches, not to lose their membership to that, because they began to see that why these people will come to like a Catholic church, for example, on a Sunday. During the middle of the week, if a Pentecostal church has an event, they will go there. And so the Catholic Church, the Anglican Church, and other Orthodox churches began to also find a way to Africanize their own doctrine.
Okay, guys. Right. Someone said something about, just one second. Okay, so I will do a part 2 tomorrow. So I'm not keeping you guys here for a long time. Okay. So we would have a quick look at this video because someone said hopefully it doesn't come to America. Unfortunately, that prayer is a bit too late. It's already in America. It's already there. You already have that in America. You already have it in the UK. It's everywhere. This version of Christianity has been shipped. It's already over the world. So
It's Sunday in the quiet Boston suburb of Melrose, but the congregation of the Redeemed Christian Church of God is alive with song and prayer. Born in Nigeria, the church opened its first American parish in Detroit in 1992. Their goal? A church within a 10-minute drive of every community on the continent.
We go out to evangelize in our neighborhood. That is a way we can open up our doors to other people that feel that, they don't want to come to an African church. It's not about an African church, it's about serving God. God is not African, God is not American. He's God.
Carolyn Peach is one of the few American board members of the Redeemed Church. She grew up Methodist, but hadn't been to church of any kind for a while. Then a Nigerian friend brought her to this congregation.
I love spirituals, and I always wanted to come to a church where everyone was happy and singing and praising God. And when I came to this church, it was like it was meant to be. I've always felt like God is here, and I told my friends that.
These are welcome words for church leaders in Texas. The Redeemed Church recently built a 10,000-seat auditorium at its headquarters in the countryside outside of Dallas. They hope to expand that to 100,000 seats as the ranks swell.
It doesn't matter whether you're a Caucasian, whether you're an African, whether you're Anglo. If you're a family of 4, father, mother, and 2 children, you want to make sure at least one member of that family is a member of the Redeemed Christian Church of God.
Oh, gosh.
Fideli says he wants to plant churches like Starbucks across America. But how realistic is that goal?
As far as breaking kind of a color barrier in some parts of the states, or
these people want to have churches like Starbucks in America. This particular church, the Redeemed Christian Church of God, the pastor's goal is to have one church in every 5-minute driving distance and 10-minute walking distance all over the world. So far, so good. He has done it. Well, no, he hasn't done it, but he's doing it. He is. Wait, just 1 second. The last time I checked, let's see how many churches does RCCG have. RCCG churches. Churches. How many? How many have they got? How many churches? One. This is one. Just one church. One church. Million, not million. Okay, don't let me say millions. Thousands and thousands of churches all over Africa. But this one church, let's see how many churches they have. No, not the. How many churches have they got? So there's a Redeemed Christian Church of God in 160 countries in the world. 160 countries in the world. Doesn't say how many these churches are. Doesn't say how many. How many countries? Wait, let's see. How many countries is RCCG in? Never mind. I think they've run out of the figures themselves. Never mind. This video is nearly finished. So let's just finish this and we'll be done for today. We'll do part 2 tomorrow.
or involving, a significant non-diasporic or non-immigrant population, they haven't managed so far.
Church leaders didn't provide any data about the numbers.
Of course, they wouldn't give you
church
any
has no more than
data.
15,000 members. The Redeemed Church is clearly growing in the United States, but that's been fueled by African immigrants looking for a sense of community, not by Americans looking for an alternative place to worship. For the BBC, I'm Jason Margolis.
The American people can't thrive in those kind of churches. The American people would not, they can't acclimatize to that kind of worship. And that's why you will find most of these churches over in America, the US, Australia. When you go to these churches, they're usually the African people in there who are looking for community. The people who they tried they would do evangelism, and this evangelism they would tell you to target mainly the white people. Go find white people, bring them to church, because when people come to your church, all they see are just black people. That means, are you just a black people church? And they don't want that image for themselves. They want to be open. And you see that lady, you see focus was put on her, because we want to make our church look like, oh, we don't just cater to just the blacks. We also have people from other races in our church. They're all here. Guys, Christianity, unfortunately, whatever you know about Christianity now, it didn't start off that way. Christianity has changed over time. It has evolved. It has, well, the man said syncretism. They have syncretized. It's a mishmash. The religion has taken a different form. And to think that Jesus didn't leave behind Christianity. No. Jesus did not say to them, guys, after I'm gone, start my religion. Call it Christianity. Yeah? Get a book for me. Have 66 books inside the book. Do this. Jesus did not leave such instructions at all. You know why? Because Jesus thought he was coming back shortly. Jesus told those people that, look, some of you here will not die before I come back. I'll be back shortly. I'm coming. So Jesus did not have any plans to set up this thing they call Christianity. He didn't. So the people, they thought that he'd be back shortly. So they didn't bother. They didn't bother to write books. They didn't bother to write. 10 years pass. 20 years pass. 30 years pass. 40. This dude is not coming back. Our people, everyone has died. You better let us start writing something. Oh, you, what do you remember from the Jesus story? You come here. What were you told about Jesus? Let's quickly document it. Quick. And that's why the Gospels were not written until God knows how many decades after Jesus. Jesus had no plans to set up Christianity. Christianity was just an afterthought because they would have been proven to be liars. Those people who were claiming to be the disciples of Jesus would have been proven to be nothing but liars. So they had to scramble, let's put, so but it's time that the African people ask these questions. the Christianity they have today didn't start off being that way. The people who brought Christianity had agendas to colonize, to take over, and Christianity was just the tool that was used. It's rather unfortunate that a loving God will sit and let this happen in his name and do nothing about it. It breaks my heart. And for me, any God that exists and that's happening in his name and doesn't do anything, ah, no, 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 no. Not for me. Hey, Richard, good to see the Afro-Humanist. Ron DeSantis followed true Christian values by lying to his fellow human beings. They were immigrants to America, so oh well, send them to Democrat states. Really. Ron DeSantis, who's that? I don't even know who he is. Sorry. Not everyone that said unto me, Lord, Lord. So this is Matthew 77. Sorry, Matthew 7, 21 to 20. Not everyone that said unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom, but he that doeth the will, you have to do the will of the Father. So this scripture here shows that most Christians cannot boldly say, hand on heart, boldly say, if rapture was to take place now, off I go to heaven. Most of them are not sure. Most of them are not sure of their Christianity, because look at this. It says, not everyone that says, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom. Even the scripture talks about the path to the heaven is being very narrow. It's very narrow. So even the heavens don't expect many of you. The heaven place only expects a small number, because it's only very narrow. You will only get there by you will get there just by chance. But everyone else are on that big road, the big path, the one that leads to destruction, the one that leads to eternal lake of fire that God created himself. Can you imagine this God sat there and decided to create this place called hell? God decided that, look, these earthly children of mine, they haven't suffered enough. I need to look for better ways to punish them for all of eternity. What can I do to cause these people more pain? Okay, let us create hellfire and make the fire really hot. Let's make it burn. And they won't just stop there for 1 year, 2 years. No, 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 no. Because I am God and I can do whatever I want, I will make that fireplace burn for all eternity. Burn them. Let them cry. Let them weep. Let them gnash their teeth. Who lied to us like this? Who did this to us? Who did this to? Who is who are the people that made the creep currently in Florida, U.S. governor's office? Okay. I think I may have heard a little bit about him. Now it rings a bell. I know Richard, he doesn't subscribe to that kind of horrible ideology in Christianity. I doubt it. I doubt you do. Treating immigrants is That way is condemned in both the Old and the New Testament. I wish I could give citation. Okay, what are you going about? I'm going by memory, quite sure. It should be a study date. Punish me, O Lord. I try not to have fun doing it. Can you imagine that he punishes Adam and Eve here on earth? Says, Eve, your womb shall be condemned, you stupid woman, for eating the fruit I told you not to eat out of. You shall suffer when you give birth. You will cry and you, okay. Turns to Adam. You, Adam, when you till the ground, you will till until before you will get any food, you suffer. So there's suffering here on earth. When they're done suffering on earth, then the main suffering comes in the afterlife. So whatever suffering they think they were suffering, whatever curse that God cursed the belly of Eve and cursed Adam, working the grounds, whatever that was just a preamble. That was just a a, a taste of what is to come. Ah, and somebody will come and tell me that he's a loving God. Oh, please. Richard hates Christians and loves aliens. Yes. If they are aliens, we love them too. Okay, let's see. There is not the term hellfire anywhere in the Bible. I can believe that. Yes. The African is removing oceans will cause earth to melt, but people will not live in it. Okay, all right. There's nothing like hellfire in the Bible. So where did these people get this thing from? Where did they get this hellfire place? Where did they get it from? If it's not in the Bible, where have they? Where have? Do you know, Richard? Just reading this actually is heartbreaking because children are being taught about this place. Children are being uh, terrified. They're being not terrified is the word. They're being scared into believing in this place and to behave in order to make children behave. But telling them about this place, a place that doesn't even exist in the Bible. Is this not a problem? Is this not a problem in Christianity? How are you teaching this to? I was introduced to hell as a child, made to give my life to Christ age 7, 8 years old, after being shown movies of the burning hell. They make you come forward to give your life to this Jesus person, crying your eyes out. If you're not crying, then you're not remorseful for your sin. How can you, 7 years old? Guys, Christianity is a sickening religion. Christianity is toxic. Richard, I know you're a Christian, but this is just my opinion. Because Christianity tells you that you need Jesus. Receive Jesus into your heart. You need a savior. For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son and blah, 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 to come and save you because you need saving. There's something wrong with you. We pronounce sin nature on you. You have inherited sin nature. And now you need the hero, Jesus, to come and save you. Not for something you did. You did nothing wrong. 2 people ate a fruit. Oh gosh. Richard is playing it safe because the Bible says to kill false prophets. Well, that's the Old Testament. Don't forget, that's the Old Testament. The New Testament does not tell you to kill false prophets. So that's the, when it is convenient, Christians they would dump the Old Testament. If it doesn't suit the narrative, no, 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 we don't do no, Old Testament. No, 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 no. We are New Testament. How we hello, how we much respect. See the chat. Hey, good to see. Yes, yes. Like, share, subscribe. Yes, guys. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Can you have it to come onto my show? Can you come tomorrow? Because I'm going to wrap this up now. I've been here for nearly 2 hours. Can you come tomorrow, Richard? If you can, I that would be nice. I would send you a link actually. I'll set up the stream and send you a link. Oh goodness. Tomorrow will be lovely. Okay, good, good. Because tomorrow we've got the Queen's funeral. Um, I would want to watch. Not maybe not all of it, but at least just catch some of it on television. It's going to be a big deal. The whole country's been given a day off, so pay your last respects to the Queen. So yeah, so tomorrow shall be paying well, watching, and she lived a really long life. Yeah, long life. Druid lover, I thought you'd gone, Druid lover. I didn't know you were still here. Thank you. So tomorrow when you Richard, tomorrow when you join in the chat, I will put the link out. And anyone else who wants to join tomorrow, let's chat. Yes. So guys, thank you very much. I am available after 5. What's 5 EST? So what time is it where you are now? Let me have a little. I usually come on at about this time. So today I came on at 10 p.m. GMT. So tomorrow it'll be about 9 p.m. GMT. So I don't know, 5 p.m. 5 EST. Okay, I will take that into consideration when I set up the stream. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Good night. I will see you all tomorrow for the part 2 of this particular stream. Okay. So thank you all very much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Let's see here.